Good evening, everyone. We are waiting for at least 2 more minutes just for a few more people to join, and then we'll go ahead and begin. So I appreciate you coming on, the people who are on. It'll be brief. It won't be long. So give us at least 2-3 more minutes, and then I'll go ahead and get started. It'll be extremely brief. Won't be any more than 10 minutes tonight. Thank you. Thank you for being on. Give me at least 2 more minutes and we'll go ahead and begin. I appreciate everybody who's on for being on. It won't be long tonight. Good afternoon, good evening, I should say. Wanted to thank you, everyone who's on, for joining in. It's going to be a very brief message. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Very brief. And I wanted to talk about our World Human Rights Day event and a couple of more very, very important things in reference to the movement. So, can everybody hear me okay? All right. So I wanted to start by saying thank you for all of the people who have been standing with me and a lot of the endeavors that we have been going through when it comes to the movement piece. Very, very important that we are strategic about where we're going in the future. It's very important that we are organizing to build a power base. And sometimes that comes, and I'm sorry, let me correct myself. Not sometimes that comes, and most times that comes not easily won, but it's hard won, hard battles. You know, we are trying to galvanize a community and bring people together who, number one, are not interested in working together. A lot of times, sometimes they don't want to work together. And just to be frank, some people just want to see things burn up. They want to see things destroyed. So we have to shift through all of that to get to the core of the mission. And the majority of your energy is taken during that process. So We reserve the right that when we're focusing on initiatives, we have to generally consider that a lot of times we put a lot of energy into putting out firefights, and that's where your energy is going to go. With that being said, I want to talk about what we're doing on World Human Rights Day because it's very important. On December 10th, World Human Rights Day will be dedicated towards beginning our movement against the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Why are we beginning a movement against the Southern Christian Leadership Conference? Many would ask. I have to say that this organization, and for those who don't have a knowledge of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC was once the most powerful civil rights organization in the country, and its political base at its core rivaled probably or was the top civil rights organization in the 50s, and starting in the late 50s and 60s. The SCLC was the strategic organization which focused on large-scale campaigns like the Birmingham March and Selma to win national legislation. The SCLC focused on community organizing to build a political power base, and in many communities there was tension between a lot of the other organizations, but the SCLC stood in contrast to those organizations. It's very important that people understand the history, because most people know the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in relation to its first president, the founding president, which is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So the question of the hour is the SCLC. And if anybody has seen the movie Selma, then you pretty much have an idea of what the SCLC is and was. Myself, I've been probably a member of the SCLC for probably the better part of several years. And that membership was what led me to being or founding Freedom First International. I was actually a president. I was a county president in Florida, Gainesville, Florida, Alachua County, for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. But I started in Charlotte, North Carolina. And my job was to go into college campuses and organize and help organize the college campuses, which at that point in time, Damian Connors, who was one of the leaders of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference for a very short period of time, was my point of contact. And I came at a point where there was a president by the name of Dr. Creasy. Under Dr. Creasy's leadership, the SCLC started to flourish, and over the short period of time, he passed. In his leadership, the SCLC in 2012 started to see a lot of different presidents, which led to the current president, who is a two-time president, Dr. Charles Steele Jr. The reason why we are asking for a boycott, yes, we're asking for a boycott on World Human Rights Day, which is December 10th of 2012. Starting December 10th, we're asking for a boycott. The reason why we're asking for that boycott is simple. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference, like a lot of civil rights organizations, specifically this organization, has changed path. You don't see these organizations serving the community anymore. This organization and its legacy, its rich history, was built, and at its core, again, I must say, and I can't say it, the self-determination led to national and even international change. This organization now is hungry, it's starving, and the membership doesn't support it because the leadership doesn't support it. It can't support itself. Why are we starting a boycott against the Southern Christian Leadership Conference again? Number of things. The visibility has been low. It's been limited. It's been lacking. As a prominent member of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, I can say honestly that the SCLC has not even just been an organization that has not supported its membership, but it's even been an organization that has endeavored to get to things like supporting paid loan organizations. Can you imagine a civil rights organization that merges itself and gets together with civil rights, with a payday loan organization to be a part of a payday loan structure? Could you imagine that? Well, at the tail end of this interview, I will support proof of what actions and some of these things that I'm discussing. So this is not just lip service, but this is me showing proof. And what I want to do is I definitely want to make this go viral because it's very important that we're doing that. So in the brief and short of it, I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing. For those who just joined, the SCLC of Dr. King's Day was an organization that worked to gain equal rights for Americans, African Americans, and other minority groups through nonviolent civil protests and community development programs. The SCLC was also focused on internal problems of the Black community, including poverty and making sure that some of the like the Poor Folks Campaign, drug abuse, medical campaigns, community health campaigns, these were the things of the SCLC historically. Most SCLC affiliates, led by its current president, which is President Charles Steele, who is a controversial, I should say, Alabama politician. Under Steele's leadership, this organization is viewed by many as an imposter organization that backs affiliates, and again, with predatory payday loan organizations, also considered loan sharks. The membership of the SCLC is now dwindling, possibly due to a misguided direction and a misguided mission, and not even possibly, but definitely. We must fight. I'm going to say that again. We must fight for an organization that Dr. King died for, and not this one. We must fight for the legacy of Dr. King's organization. Steele's SCLC has to be destroyed and rebuilt, or some should say, or some have said that it should be made a historical organization to protect the legacy, which is what we're fighting for starting on December 10th of 2017. We boycott. Our campaign is called the Freedom Now campaign, and we will stand and fight for the legacy of the SCLC by boycotting, by doing not even just nonviolent protests, but petitions. And after that, there'll be strategic movements going forward. We are asking for some of the former members, some of the former county presidents of the SCLC to join us in our actions. We're asking for the major media to join us in our actions, which they have. We're asking for reform with civil rights organizations, the historic ones. Either you do the right thing by the community or you stop with the community. What I would say is that we are hoping that the legacy, again, the legacy of the SCLC, which is the folks like Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and some of the folks who were there, we're asking that that legacy is preserved. At this point in time, that legacy is being harmed. We're asking that a change has to come with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And we are calling our national campaign at this point, the Freedom Now campaign. We cannot take a Southern Christian Leadership Conference that backs payday loans, that stands outside of public interest, that places profitability above civil rights, human rights, and social justice. Dr. Steele, civil rights is not a business. Civil rights should be backed by finances, but our mission is to save people. So my message is that starting on December 12th, we will see a succession. You will see a succession of actions. We're calling for the past presidents of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the past county presidents, the luminaries who helped build this organization who are still around, to stand and resolve and complete the work that was finished with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Maynard Jackson, folks of that nature, we're calling for these people to stand up and be accountable. We're calling for reform with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. At this point, I'm not interested in any other organization, even though a lot of the historical civil rights legacy organizations are challenged at this point in this day and age. We will continue with our work. Freedom International will continue with this work, but it is time for a change, and a change is going to come. So for those who just joined us, a brief recap. The SCLC must change. We are starting our movement December 10th, World Human Rights Day. For those who don't know what World Human Rights Day is, World Human Rights Day is a UN organized movement around the world which focuses on just what it says, human rights. Every year we've been somewhere around the country on World Human Rights Day to stand for a cause, a human rights cause. Last year we were in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, standing with the family of Elton Sterling on World Human Rights Day. The year before that, I believe we were in New York on World Human Rights Day at the United Nations. The year before that, I was in South Carolina fighting for George Stinney Jr., which is the youngest person executed in U.S. history. Those were all World Human Rights Day movements. And I have pledged that every year on December 10th to do a cause or to stand for a cause, and our organization has consistently done that. So we stand and fight for the legacy of the SCLC. December 10th, more information will come. A change is going to come, and our campaign is Freedom Now. We cannot accept a organization, be it the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, that backs and affiliates with predatory payday loan organizations, also considered loan sharks. We fight for an organization that Dr. King died for, not this one, but the legacy of Dr. King has merit, even in this day and age. We stand and fight for that legacy. This SCLC led by Charles Steele has to be destroyed and rebuilt, or made a historical organization to protect and preserve the legacy, which is what we fight for. December 10th, 2017, World Human Rights Day, we boycott. Again, please wait for follow-up information, which will be attached to this video. And God bless everyone. And I appreciate everybody's support. God bless you.